Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA manufacturers round number 4 at Monza in Group 4. So this was the final race. I think we did one more before this. Didn't particularly do well in that race. And in this race, again, in qualifying, we did the final one. We did an average first lap, not a particularly brilliant lap. And then on our main lap with the lower fuel, after we burnt some fuel, we tried to get a slipstream and it just went completely wrong. I think it was Affo we were trying to get the slipstream off. He made a mistake, causing me to run a little bit wide out the corner, got on the gravel, and then we had dirty tyres, and then the lap just fell apart from there, so we didn't even finish it again. So it was a bit frustrating because we really should have had the pace. I think I had the speed really to be in the top 3 or 4 in qualifying. I definitely had the speed to hit the full 1 minute 55s. However, it wasn't to be. We made the mistake and we were starting quite far down, you see, where we shouldn't really have been this far back, especially in the Aston Martin. Although the Aston Martin is a very tricky car to drive here, it's very fast, so I really was expecting to, I knew I had the pace to be up there, but we're starting from P14. So we went on an alternative strategy, obviously, because I knew I had the race pace. I knew I was faster than the cars in front of me, so what I decided to do was put the medium tyres on instead of the soft tyres. We did the first race with a pit stop strategy, but for this one I felt like it might be worth trying out the medium tyres and seeing how far we can get, see if we can go for a no stop. I wasn't 100% sure whether I'd do the no stopper. I was still like, there was a possibility that I might pit and you know, do the pit stop strategy, but with the medium tyres, because obviously these medium tyres hang on a bit longer than the softer compound tyres. But we're going to start the race. The good thing with starting from the mediums is it gives you the option at the pit stop phase and to see what other people are doing ahead of you. Obviously I'll be in the better position because I can see the drivers ahead, obviously starting so far down. So we're going to start this race. You can see starting behind the Lamborghini and just aiming to go into turn 1 without any contact. In the first race I made a big error in the braking zone. I was unsighted. I looked over to the right hand side. As I pulled over to the right hand side to see the braking zone, I was already in the braking zone and we ended up colliding with a car. We did try and avoid everyone. We completely went off racing line and tried to go around literally straight on at the chicane to avoid someone, but I think we clipped him on the rear. As we now go into the braking zone, you see braking very early this time. You can see how cautious I was being to make sure that I didn't make a mistake on this attempt, and we get through that chicane. Pretty much everyone getting through the chicane without any incident there. Very rare that at Monza. So nice clean driving in this FIA top split race. As we now go into the second chicane, we got a car off there. Looks like the Caymans ran a little bit wide. Could have been contact, I do not know. As we now go into the second braking zone, you see there into the second chicane, we're going to brake nice and early again. We've got a train of cars in front of us. No point risking much at this stage because we're on the slower tyres to the majority of people in front of us. The majority of drivers in front of us will have been on the soft compound tyre, so the faster tyre. We're on the mediums, just trying to basically hang on at this stage. The slipstream's there to help us. The medium tyres are actually reasonably good around this track purely because it's not a lot of corners. It's mainly straight lines, so as long as you stay in the slipstream, the Lamborghini in front of me has a massive moment on the curb, loses control of the car, and that's 2 positions we've gained already on this opening lap. So we're up to P12. Not a bad start. No real overtakes done by myself, just purely drivers making mistakes as we now head into the Ascari chicane, trying to hold on to this position and now trying to see if we can make some progress. If we can just gain on the drivers in front of us. You see it's very compact at the front. You see I think the leaders were about 7-8 seconds ahead at this stage of the race. Obviously straight away off the start, off the rolling start, you do end up quite far back when you're starting as far back as P14, but race pace was there, so just trying to see if we can hang on in the corners to the drivers in front that are on the softer compound tyre that will probably be going on a pit stop strategy, and then using the straights to bring us back into the slipstream and pretty much into the, you know, the speed of the softer compound tyre. So the advantage was, for me, I'm not lapping too much slower than the softer compound tyre runners, but I'm going to have so much better tyre wear. So this was where we were like weighing it up whether we were going to go on a nose stop or a pit stop strategy. The Corvette has a little look down the inside there. I just a little dab off the brakes just to make sure that he couldn't make that move. And now we've got the Aston Martin and BMW going side by side into the next chicane. So again, what I'm doing now is just going to sit in the slipstream, hold back. There's no point diving in on the second chicane and trying to make some sort of move. We're just going to sit back, let them battle away and try and make sure that I've got a clean exit off of the chicane to make sure that we don't lose too much time as we go into the braking zone. And they were very early on the brakes there, you can see. And this is the phase now. We're obviously starting lap 2. By lap 3 and 4, the medium compound tyres will start coming better compared to the soft compound tyre. I think it was lap 4 that the mediums were probably a little bit, maybe equal, slightly faster, and then lap 5 they were definitely faster than the medium tyres to the soft compound for the Aston Martin. I'm not sure about other cars like the Cayman, etc. Maybe different. As we now head our way and getting into the Ascari chicane, you see a long train of cars there, very close battling going on at this stage. We've made progress in this race. We've got a few cars in front of us. There's a bit of a gap developing to the lead slipstream battle. You can see there's a 2-second gap maybe developing there. We need to get past these cars that are in front of us as soon as possible, really, as we get very close to the BMW in front. We definitely had a pace advantage, I think, because even on these harder compound tyres, you can see I'm all over the rear of the BMW in front of me. The McLaren up ahead also, I'm not sure what tyre. I think he was on the softer compound tyres. As we go defensive there, just to make sure the Corvette can't make a move up the inside and ruin our strategy of trying to get past this BMW at the earliest opportunity. We now go down the straight. I was fairly confident though, once I've got a slipstream, that Corvette is not going to get past me, even if he's in the slipstream. As soon as he pulls out the slipstream, because I'm picking up a slipstream in the Aston Martin so fast in the straight line, it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to go for a move into turn 1. As you see, there's 2 cars going side by side, the other Aston Martin and the McLaren going very close together there, and ERT Steve there completely missing the braking zone, obviously watching what's going on in front of him, misses his braking zone and has been reset to the track. So that's another position that we've gained without actually doing an overtake. We've gained 3 positions so far in this race. We're up to P11 through just not making any mistakes. But now we've got the Cobra in the Aston Martin and the McLaren in front of us there, going side by side into the second chicane. So you're going to see I'm just going to hold back again, make sure I brake nice and early and try and get a really clean exit, because I could see they were going side by side and this is going to be really awkward for them. So I take a nice tight line on the power nice and early and put myself up into P10. Have a little look around the left hand side. I was going to go down the right, but he covered that off. Braking nice and early. There's no point me trying to go around the outside there. It would probably end in disaster running into the gravel. So I just braked, tucked back into the slipstream of the driver in front, and now we're into P10 and going through the second Lesmo. And the VP driver in front of us in P9 completely goes wide and swipes into us there, where he tries to rejoin the track and actually causes a bit of mayhem behind us. You can see in the mirror he's given myself a bit of a cushion there over a second, which is really nice, because we're approaching the point now where the tyres are pretty equal to, maybe the softer compound probably had a bit more speed at this stage, but within half a lap we're going to be able to probably be putting in lap times that are fairly equal. So if we're out the slipstream now, if I push with the extra speed that I know I had over some of the other drivers, I could push and keep out the slipstream and try and make some grounds on the driver's head. You can see I've got quite a big gap to that the group of cars up ahead. It's about 4 or 5 seconds, maybe more, as we go into the final corner now and work our way down the start straight, just to see if we can make up some more positions now in this race. So we're into P9 now. So far we've managed to gain quite a few places. We've made an overtake. A lot of people have made errors. We've kept it clean, and we nearly got took out then by that McLaren, but just about got away with it without any incident. So now what we had to concentrate on was really just trying to keep it nice and smooth and keep gaining if we can on them drivers in front. You can see that long line of cars that are in front of us there, battling away. Obviously we're about 5-6 seconds behind, maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds, something like that from the lead. I think at this stage we were 6.5 seconds behind the lead car, or 7 seconds behind the lead car at this stage of the race. So not too bad considering we started in P14. And this is what really frustrated me about my qualifying. I think if I would have been able to hook up a lap and get myself in the top 3, we would have been challenging for the win in this race. It is a shame that we obviously made that mistake and didn't get our final run in qualifying. So starting quite far back was a bit a massive disadvantage. But one good thing about Monza is and the way they did this race with the tyre wear was there was an alternative strategy obviously of not pitting, and I was in the best position for this because we're in the harder compound tyre. And you can see that the tyres are wearing a little bit more equal and balanced on this medium compound. When we were on the softer compound, the left-hand side was really wearing really fast, and it was taking a lot of wear out of them. And the fronts were going quite drastically as well, as we now go through the Ascari chicane, trying to keep it nice and smooth. You can see in the mirror behind, we've actually pulled out even more of a gap to the drivers behind and built that the distance up more than after the incident. So we're doing really well. Now we've just got to focus on catching the cars in front. Now this lap 5 that we're about to start is a lap that these tyres will be slightly faster than the softer compound runners, and obviously Also, if some drivers are deciding to pit on lap 6, that'll give us another lap to gain on them as well. It's going to be interesting to see what strategy some people run, whether they're going to go for a no stop or whether they're going to go for the pit stop strategy. It all depends really on the car's ability to do the no stop. The Aston Martin probably wasn't the best car for this strategy, if I'm brutally honest, but we obviously give ourselves that option by putting the medium tyres on rather than the soft tyres. You can see how close we're getting now to this second group of cars, with P8 in front of us there. I can now see them, and that's really nice to see that we can see them in the distance. It gives you that little bit of motivation to keep pushing. And I was really starting to think, you know, we've got an opportunity here, because a lot of them cars would have started on the softer compound tyre, and the no stop was actually, I think it was slightly faster over the race if you could get it to work and had the right tyres on. As we now go into the braking a little bit late there as we're trying to really push. You can see we're driving quite aggressive, and one thing about this race, you had to be so careful on the track limits because it's running the championship settings. Any slight cut, any slight extension, and it could give you an instant penalty. So we were having to be really careful, and we just about got away with that corner without getting a penalty. But look at this now as we go on the back straight. Look how much we've gained just on this single lap now. This is what I was saying about the medium tyres. We've probably gained about a second just on this lap alone as we work our way into the Ascari chicane, and we're going to be able to probably gain a little bit more through there with the tyres in better condition. And we are really close at this stage. It's really interesting to see just how close we are, as Grasser in front of us there, pushing as hard as he can through the corner and working his way into the final corner. So this was the point now where I didn't know whether it was it worth pitting or not pitting. I'm still not 100%. It might have been faster to pit, I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to keep an eye out on the cars that go in the pits and the cars that obviously stay out. So I was looking at the left hand side and obviously on the track to see now as a group of cars have gone in the pits there, but what I did notice was that there was quite a few cars that didn't pit at that stage. You can see in front of me, I could see that it was pretty much, I think, the two Aston Martin drivers that hadn't pitted also there on lap 5, and I was quite interested in that because I wasn't sure if they were going to be going for a pitting on lap 6, because there obviously was that option of pitting on lap 6, but Grasser obviously into the pits early there, and maybe we should have followed. I still don't know if I should have followed at that stage and put another set of mediums on, but I think we wanted to risk it and try and get some big points. So you can see we've got the TX3 driver now in front of us, and we're going to be gaining on some of these even more at this stage because they're obviously going to be running the softer compound, some of these drivers. And you can see GTA Matty there just right up in front of us as well in the other Aston Martin. He qualified in P6, we qualified in P14. Shows what massive gains we've made so far in this race, and we're only on lap 6. We're going to have 5 more laps when we complete this to try and get any sort of position out of this race. And I was really starting to think about the no stopper because I didn't think it could do it, the Aston Martin, but I was keeping an eye on the tyre wear. Obviously I could see that this is going to be, we've done more than half the race so far, and the tyres look like they could cope with it. So I was really considering this at this point now, and I was thinking if any drivers go for a no stop in front of me, I'm going to probably go for it as well, especially if it was drivers that I'm competing with, obviously like the Aston Martins. It's really important that I try to, you know, race them in a straight battle, and because I felt like I had the speed, I was gaining and gaining and gaining all the way through these opening laps. You know, just look how close they are to us now in front of us. Obviously they would have been battling a little bit maybe, but they're picking up the slipstream as well. We've not got any slipstream and we're still gaining as we go into the braking zone for the final corner, trying to make sure we don't run too deep into there. Careful on the throttle just to make sure we don't run too far to the full width of the track. You can see they're running all the way to the white line, and on the power as we go down the straight. And you can see some drivers there were on the medium tyre. They went to go in the pits, and you can see I noticed that the two other Aston Martin drivers hadn't pitted, and I decided to just stay out and go for this strategy. So staying out now and seeing if we can get anything out of this race. We've got quite a bit of a gap. You can see there Afo just slightly ahead of GTA Matty there. It looks like GTA Matty's I don't know if he was actually qualified ahead of Afo. It looks like Afo's got ahead. Maybe Afo was running slightly different tyre combination to GTA Matty in this. I'm not too sure whether GTA Matty was running the soft tyres and going for a no stop by the looks of it, whereas Afo might have been on the same strategy as me, and that might explain why he's managed to get past now. So if that is the case, it looks like Apple will probably pull away, and we should be able to start closing in on GTA Matty. It's not going to be a massive amount at the moment. We're only on lap 7, so the tyre difference is going to be there, but it's not going to be a huge difference because you still have an overall more grip on the softs. It'll be by lap 8 and 9 when them soft tyres start to fade off quite drastically now as we go through the 2 Lesmos. Onto the second Lesmo now, and you can see we are definitely gaining on the 2 Aston Martins in front. I think our pace was fairly equal to Afo's, not a massive, not a great deal of difference between our 2 pace, so that's what makes me think that GTA Matty must have been on a different tyre strategy, maybe mediums on the front and softs on the rear, so losing a bit on traction maybe off some of the corners. As you can see, Afo started to build up that lead already, and we are definitely gaining. We've got MR Steve Gaming behind us as well in the Jaguar. He's pitted, he's just a couple of seconds behind, and we're coming to the end of lap 7, so we'll just have lap 8, 9, 10, 4 more laps to go after we go over the line now. So we're going to have to do some defending. I knew that we're going to be pretty much put under a lot of pressure. However, the lap time loss isn't massive on this track because we've obviously got the medium tyres on. They're still in okay condition. They are wearing on that front left, but they're able to put in lap time still in the 158s, low 59s, etc. So just a little bit, maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds off the ultimate pace. But the people that are on the soft compound tyres, by the time we get to lap 10 and 11, they're going to be suffering with tyre wear as well. So it'll be the difference will be getting shorter and shorter as we get further on in the race, as we get into the braking zone, trying to hook up the apex, trying to make sure we do it nice and clean, and trying to get on the power nice and early. And just look how close we're getting to GTA Matty. So it's pretty clear now that the tyre strategies must have been different between Afo and GTA Matty. You can see Afo there has pulled the gap, and we're definitely gaining on GTA Matty as well. So we got 3 Aston Martins in P1, 2 and 3, obviously running this no stop strategy, which was quite strange because the Aston Martin is not the best car on tyres, but it looks like we were just trying to risk it because obviously I think I was mainly risking it because my qualifying was so poor, but Afo obviously trying to get himself into the top 3 from not a great qualifying either. GTA Matty I expected to pit. I'm not sure if he just decided to follow what Afo was doing or not. I'm not too sure. As we now go through the second Lesmo, you can see in the distance there in our mirror we've got MR Steve Gaming gaining on us massively. Obviously he's on fresh, I think soft tyres there, so he's going to have a lot more speed than what I have got in the Aston Martin on these warm mediums. Especially at this stage, he's only done maybe 1 or 2 laps on him. He had the little look into the braking. He looked like he was going to go for a move there, but that would have been a bit silly. There was no way I was going to just move out the way in the middle of the Ascari chicane. I was going to do it sensibly, stay over to the left hand side here. I put my hazards on there just so he knows to, he's going to have the free pass on the right hand side. I'm not going to defend that. There's no point defending. This is what I say so many times to so many drivers. At this stage race, lap 8, if this was the final lap, maybe I would defend, or lap 10, I'd probably try and fight it a bit. But on lap 8, all it's going to do is lose me time and the driver in front time, and he's going to get past you eventually. He's on newer tyres. You're not going to hold them up, so it's best just to let them go and then sit in their slipstream. So now I'm gaining from the slipstream off of MR Steve Gaming all the way down into the first chicane, and that's putting me even closer to GTA Matty. And then when he goes for a move on GTA Matty, we should be very close to being able to make a pass. As we go into the braking, you see the car starting to get a little bit twitchy on the braking, where obviously the tyre wear's kicking in and we're pushing the limits there, and we're obviously in the slipstream as well, so with the dirty air. And still we've got that slipstream, which is a real big help. See, it's just boosting us forward and closer to GTA Matty. So that strategy really is working for me at the moment to try and gain us time to GTA Matty. Now MR Steve Gaming is going to go for that move from the inside, and again exactly same thing. GTA Matty doesn't fight that. He knows there's no point battling with MR Steve Gaming. He's on fresher tyres, and we really hugged that chicane up, and we're now right behind GTA Matty. I'm ready to make a move on him as soon as possible. We've also got Oscaro Sonic right behind us there in the Lexus, so this is going to be very interesting. We've got to try and get past the Aston Martin in front of us and try not to get into a battle with the Lexus behind, because we want to let that Lexus behind. But I see an opportunity to go on the right hand side. We get better drive off that corner, which makes me think the rear tyres of GTA Matty might not have been the medium tyres, or was possibly running softs all round. As we go around the outside now, side by side, and we've got a bit more advantage going into turn 1. We're going to be able to brake, into the Ascari chicane, and we're going to be able to brake slightly later there, and we managed to take that position and make a nice move. And it actually, I think the 2 cars behind us actually went side by side. I think GTA Matty actually went through the chicane ahead. Yeah, he did. As you can see, that Lexus just slightly behind there. So now we've really got to start defending, because we're going to obviously come up to some drivers at a point where we're going to want to start defending. At this stage, I was going to let Oscaro Sonic go through because he's in that Lexus A, he's on fresher tyres. I might as well let him go through and try and pick up his slipstream, because we're not going to be able to hold him off. You can see again, he's got that slipstream, he's going on the inside. Actually, I think I put my hazards on again to let him know that I'll be letting him through there. As you can see, yeah, he's going through on that side, and the Audi TT looks like he's going to go through as well with the speed that that car's got. And I didn't battle that too much, I just let them go through. There was a bit of contact there as they were trying to fight with each other. I just take a nice clean line, and the Lexus actually pushes the Audi TT slightly wide, and that puts me back up into another position ahead. You can see now, and I've got the slipstream of that Lexus in front to defend into this chicane. So this is really good for me, because now at this stage, we're at the stage where I felt now I need to start defending for every position that I've got. We've got a lap and a bit we got, well, just under 2 laps to go, and if I can defend and put the other cars really close together, then it's going to help me out, because if they're battling, they're going to lose time, and I might be able to pick up a top 6 here in this race. You can see we've done really well to get where we are. We can see on the screen there in P8 position, P8 is GTA Matty now, and he's obviously on the no stop strategy. We've got 3 cars directly behind me battling away, but we're able to defend in there. And the good thing about the Aston Martin is it's really good on straight line speed. So as soon as they pull out the slipstream, you can see this SLS, he's going to pull out the slipstream, but then he doesn't have the drive to get past, and the Audi TT very aggressively tries to just push the SLS out the way, which you can't really do. And now we're going to be able to go through the Ascari chicane and maintain that position. They have a little look up the inside, but they're battling side by side and actually lose out time because of the battle. And this is what I wanted to happen as we now go into the final corner for the penultimate time, and pretty much just 1 lap to go and into P4. So 10 positions gained so far in this race, and we're just holding on now for every position we can. The tyres are really worn. You can see that front left, the racing medium tyres are starting to die. They've got not much grip left at all on that front left, but the rears have got reasonable grip, so I can actually put the power down and get traction. So as long as I line the car up, the traction should be okay coming off some of the corners. As now we're going to go, and I was thinking of letting this Audi TT go through, but then watch now, as soon as he pulls out the slipstream, he hasn't got the straight line speed. So I thought, I'm going to go defensive here now and try and hold on to this position. We're on the final lap. We need to try and get every position we can as we go into the braking as late as I physically can. But then Garassa comes from miles back, hits into the side of us, hits us into the Mercedes, then hits us again, and pretty much wrecks our race there as we pick up a 5-second penalty. So really disappointed. You can see how annoyed I was at that situation. You can see that on the live stream. He did apologise, however, which is fair enough, and he obviously he said that obviously he braked at his normal point, but one thing I will say is he would have had a massive slipstream at that point. He had 4 cars in front of him picking up a slipstream, and the Mustang is a very fast car, so he should have been a bit more cautious there. He came from too far back, he went into the side of my car, give me a 5. I think it was actually the contact when he hit me, which then hit me into the Mercedes, and then because the Mercedes went off, I pick up a 5-second penalty. So Gran Turismo's daft penalty system again, ruining a pretty much perfect race by myself. And you can see it was frustrating because I think we would have been able to hold on to, we would have been able to probably get P7 I think in this if Garassa wouldn't have done that, because we still would have been defending into that corner. We might not have picked it, we might have ended up in P8, who knows. But the worst we would have finished is where GTA Matty is in front of us now. But through no fault of my own, again, not had the best of luck with the FIA recently. We've lost positions in this race, and we've now got to take a 5-second penalty. So we're down to P9. We're going to have to go through the penalty zone and take up a 5-second penalty. You see, I'm pulling over to the right hand side. 5 seconds worth of penalty, which loses you probably about 10 seconds because it takes you really low down the gears. Then you've got to accelerate back up, so you lose a massive amount of time. And you can see there the BMW going back through there. So quite frustrated with the whole situation. We lost a massive amount there. We lost quite a big amount with just the incident as well in the chicane. And we'll have a little look at that incident as we go over the line. We'll have a little look and see how that happened and why Garassa really should have braked a little bit sooner, looking at the situation ahead of him. But it was a mistake. He apologised. We come over the line with a P10 finish. Not particularly happy with that. I think GTA Matty actually ended up on P7 because the car disconnected before the end. So we would have picked up P7 at worst, which is a bit frustrating for myself because coming from P14 that would have been perfect. But just watch now. Look how far ahead we are. We go defensive on the right hand side. Garassa just comes out of the dirty air, brakes really late and just clean. He just goes straight into the side of me, hits me twice into the side of the Mercedes, and then again gives me nowhere to go. We'll slow that down now and you'll see how it happened in slow motion and how it all played out. You see, I wasn't too happy with that, and obviously the 5-second penalty is what annoyed me more than anything, because without that we still would have picked up a P8 or a P9. But looking at this in the braking zone, you can see there's a 150. He actually braked just before the 150, which I think was quite risky with how much of a slipstream he would have been taken into turn 1. And you can see the Audi TT's on my left hand side at this stage, so there's not much I can do at this stage. I'm just trying to give myself a line into the apex of the chicane. Now the Mercedes also sees there's an opportunity. I think he saw Grasser coming down the right hand side to give, so he give him, wanted to stay out of that, and goes around the left hand side. So at this point, I end up starting to get in a bit of a bottleneck in a sandwich. You can see I've got 2 cars to my left hand side, and Grasser on the right hand side now is directly to the side of me. I'm trying to give Grasser space because I did see him coming, and I'm trying to make sure that I give the other car space. But you can see at this point, we're going to jump on board with myself, and you'll see that it's going to start closing in, and the Mercedes turns in on me while I'm trying to give Grasser space. I'm trying to give myself the ability to make the corner, but Mercedes, there's a bit of contact there, nothing massive, and then Grasser clean just hits the rear of my car, which nudges me into the Mercedes there, knocks the Mercedes wide, and then hits me again there, and it knocks the Mercedes again wide. And that's where the penalty comes from, because the contact from Grasser into myself hits P5 and knocks him off the racing line. It gives me a 5-second penalty, and he's still accelerating at this point. This is the part that annoyed me as well, with Grasser just kept accelerating and just kept driving into the back of my car. Again, you'll see it now, accelerates again, even though you can see that the car in front of him is pretty much not much he can do. So I was a bit frustrated, but it was a mistake by Grasser. He apologised. He said he was sorry. He sent me a message, obviously apologising. That's the main thing. So unfortunately, that race wasn't to be. It was a shame, because we had a chance of, depending on how much battling would have gone on behind us, we had a chance of from anything from P5 to P7 really ending up in that race, because the car did disconnect in the race somehow. I don't know how. So we would have picked up reasonably good points, but we ended up with just 1,400 points, I think, from that. 1,450 points, which is a shame and not too brilliant at all. Obviously, it is a shame, especially with, the possibility of picking up 2,000 plus points if we would have finished in P5. But it would have probably been around 1,900 points, I think, or 1,800, 1,900 points for P7 or 8. But anyway, what happened is happened, and we moved on to the next race. We're going to upload the Cataluna race as soon as possible also, and also I think we did do the Nations race at Brands Hatch, but that was a bit of a disaster. We had a bit of a qualifying problem. You'll be able to check that out on the live stream. We're going to be back with more videos and streams and FIA practices on live streams, so make sure you check them out when we go live. Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.